Hi guys, and welcome to Gaz's aviation room. I just thought I'd do a brief video on the Teng L39. Lovely aircraft that I'm building, but I just thought I'd let a few of you know some of the problems that I've found while I've been building it, some things to look out for. First thing I'll do is show you this is the rudder. I'm already about a quarter of the way through the construction of the thing, but I just thought I'd show a couple of people things to look out for when they're building them. One of the most important things to look out for is if I spin the rudder hard over to the right like that, you'll notice inside here these plastic hinges that are in here. If you don't put them into the moving surface first, which was something that I was lucky that I picked up when I was looking at their operation, because the fulcrum of the point is actually back here, it's not up in here at all, it's back here in the center of the moving surface. If you don't get that the pivot point of that plastic pin type hinge right back in here, as far back as you can get it, then you won't get full stroke on the rudder when you do actually put it into the aircraft. So that's something to look out for. The next thing that I'll show you briefly during this quick clip is that you'll see this is the hole that I've cut into the airframe for the servo for the rudder. That on the airframe, this doesn't come cut out. It comes marked, but it's not cut out. Something that I did pick up from some information that I was looking at is that what you can do to get a really nice clean cut is to actually heat up an X-Acto knife, something like this thing here. You can see how the tip there's a bit blue on it. That's because I've been heating it up with my trusty little butane torch just here. You heat it up, don't get it too hot. If you get it too hot, it'll burn the paint. What you do is just get it nice and hot till it just starts to go blue, and then it'll slice through the paint and this very ultra thin plywood very easily. It's quite impressive what a neat and simple job it does on making something that can be quite fiddly difficult. Okay, so that's just cutting the holes in the airframe for that to fit into. The next thing that I've done, that is, I don't know if it's a common practice or not, because most of the literature I've seen says that you're supposed to wrap your servos, especially these thin wing servos, in tape. Now, I'm a marine engineer and I don't agree with wrapping things in tape that are going to control surfaces, especially in an aircraft that's capable of nearly 300 kilometres an hour. So what I actually do is I cut small blocks of balsa, as you can see, in here, to mount the servo on. And then I epoxy them in, and then once I've epoxied them in and let the epoxy go off, as you can see, the servo is a really nice tight fit and it won't move anywhere at all. Solid as. Once I put the 3 screws in that, it can't move at all. Then I just epoxy that back on over the top. Obviously there's a bit of fiddling around getting the heights on the blocks right so that the thing sits in the right spot. I bought a whole heap of different size blocks of balsa here from the local hobby shop. Got some 6, some 8, some 12, and some 6mm ply and some 3mm ply. But I've done the same thing here to the servos that I've just finished, just taking these weights off that were holding them in position while the epoxy dries, and you can see I've done exactly the same thing right here. I've epoxied in these 3 blocks, and I've only got 1 screw holding that one in the far corner at the moment. That's because it would have been a bugger to hold in place while the epoxy was drying. So I actually screwed the block to the servo before I put it in. Now I've actually cut some of the wing away to install mine. The wing actually came right back to here, the underside of the wing. The actual part of the wing runs up. When I bolt this tailplane or the fuselage actually runs up there like that. So all you'll be able to see is that. So when you buy the aircraft, it's actually covered right to there but I've cut all this section here away to make it a lot easier to install the servos, and once again so that I can put my two rudder servos in. I'm using Teng EMG 555s, good old Hobby King stuff. These things are great, got a 4.5 kilo torque rating. Unfortunately they're not digital, but I've been using them for a while on a couple of my aircraft, particularly a lovely hotliner that I've got, and they're pretty good. Anyway, just to reiterate, the other thing to be careful of if you are building an L39, and a mistake that I made, is that because they don't show that they're handed at all, and I didn't notice when I was gluing them on, is to make sure that I had the spacing in here and at this end correct. When I put the aileron in, I decided to glue the wing pods on. I didn't realise they were handed, so it's pretty difficult to see, probably won't show up that much on this video at all, but if I close the flap and then bring the aileron to the 0 position, it's slightly out because this pod should have been on the other wing. Just something to be aware of. Mistake I made, and a mistake I wouldn't like you guys to make, so that you can make your plane a bit better than mine. In my next video I'll be talking about putting the twin servos in here. Once again, two thin wing servos. You could put normal servos in here if you wanted, small mini servos, but as I said, I'm pretty impressed with these 555s. So I'll be putting two 555s in here, one for the aileron and one for the flaps. And then after that we'll go on to the retracts. I'm using E-flite retracts, but we'll talk about that in the next video. Thanks for watching. See ya.